This video is for Greek class, and it goes along with your Croy textbook, chapter 6, and so if you wanted to grab your textbook and follow along, there's already a video about the first couple of points in this chapter, and then this video deals with probably the bigger concept, which has to do with prepositions. This is kind of my hot take on it, which is that these are the most flexible, the easiest thing to change. They're the most fluid, and so hold this lightly. That's why we're doing it last in this kind of unit that we're doing to start off the Greek class. Here's basically, though, the concept that is described in the book. In English, you have prepositions like to, for, with, because of, and they all take the objective case. They all take me. And so maybe you've had someone correct you on this kind of grammar, not come with I, but come with me to the store, right? And so we never put the I in there. Instead, we always put the me. In Greek, prepositions go with particular cases. And so you don't just learn the preposition, but you learn the case that it belongs with too. And so that's what your vocabulary is trying to do in this chapter. And it's because there are some prepositions that occur with only one case. And so they can only have one really set of meanings. So one of these is like apo, which always has a genitive as its object, and it means from. Here's an example that will show you. Apoton uranon is from the heavens. Here's another word a preposition that only occurs with one case. Ace always occurs with the accusative, into, to, or against, and so ace, tain, gain is into the earth. Here's the third example. En always occurs with the dative, and it means in. So you have en, te, iremo, so in the desert. These are three different prepositions. They use three different cases, but that preposition is determining what case the object has to be in. And it's no longer that the noun is functioning as it normally does, like genitives are not showing possession anymore. Datives are not being indirect objects, they're being just the object of the preposition. They're dictated and controlled by that preposition. And so for some of them, you don't really have to learn the case because you're not writing in Greek. You're recognizing what's already written. And so somebody that was writing in Greek or able to speak in Greek would need to know what case to put at the end of the prepositional phrase. You're just recognizing what's already there and what is already correct, and you're just discerning it. The reason, though, that it becomes a thing and why I want you to pay attention to it is because although there's some prepositions that only use one case, like these ones, there are some that use more than one case, and then they might have a different meaning depending on the case. Here's one of those that becomes a big deal. You have this word dia. Let me back that off so you can see it. Dia plus the genitive case means through. So when you have a phrase like dia tes eremu, through the desert, but if dia is used with the accusative, it means because of or for the sake of. And so you'd have something like this, dia ton kurion, for the sake of the Lord. And through and for the sake of mean totally different things. It's because the phrase now takes on a meaning. There are a few words in which this occurs, and they are common words. They're words you're going to see a lot, so dia is one of those. Let's see, here's another example of one. Meta is one. Meta plus the genitive means with. Meta plus the accusative means after or behind. There's also a few that we'll get where one preposition can go with the genitive, the dative, and the accusative, and they have different meanings in each. Here's the basic point, is to really understand prepositions or learn them, you have to learn the preposition plus the case. And so that's what you're actually getting in your vocab. It doesn't just say dia, but it says dia plus the genitive, which means through, or meta plus the genitive, which means with. It will also say that even for ones that only have one meaning, so even though en only occurs with the dative, it still is going to give you that so that you can learn them, because the phrase now goes together, and the nouns are no longer doing the thing that they used to be doing, they're just being part of the prepositional phrase, but also, depending on what form the noun is, it might change the meaning of the preposition. Here's my last, and like I said at the beginning, maybe kind of hot take on this, which is, in my opinion, prepositions are the least important thing for translating. Some people might come back and argue, no, they're the most important thing because they're the hardest thing to get your handle around. But what I say to people is if you've dealt properly with the verbs and the nouns and the adjectives, then the preposition is what could be the most fluid thing. You might need to change it a little bit to make a smooth sounding translation. And it seems to me like most of the time, that's the thing that changes the meaning the least. We could argue about some specific examples in which that might not be the case. Sure, but 98% of the time, you want to first start with your verbs and your nouns and your adjectives and then worry about your prepositions last. So although this chapter is introducing a big concept, it's not maybe the most important one. Here's one of the charts that you have available to you. We'll also go over some fun activities to try to cover this in class. But this chart tries to visually lay out what the different prepositions tend to mean. So like ace is coming into the house, ek is going out. If you're in the house, that means en, or it comes from this word en. Hupo is below. And so like if you have, I don't know, I'm trying to think, hypothermia, you're below, but huper, hyper, means you're above. So see below versus above. Pros means I'm headed toward. Apo means I'm going away from. Para can mean beside. It's got some other meanings. I don't think you'll get that till chapter 7. Kata can mean down. It can also sometimes mean leaning against. So there's some weird things about that. Dia plus the genitive equals through. That's what the A's, the G's, and the D's are trying to tell you. Genitives versus accusative versus dative. I don't know. If you're a visual person, hopefully a chart like this helps you. If not, just learn the vocabulary. And as you learn it, you're going to get the most important prepositions that you need to know for this class. Hopefully this helps a little bit along the way. Again, this is a pretty short video, so feel free to watch it again. And then if you still have questions, email me or bring those questions to class. Okay, great.